Sony just released a new PS5 and your current PS5 is about to get a huge update. How's it going, everyone, and welcome to PSReady, the channel all about PlayStation. This is the weekly news roundup where I look around the entire internet and find the 5 biggest PlayStation news stories. In today's episode, we've got some really good ones. I'm really excited about this video because we only have a couple more days in August, which means September, which means we'll probably be getting that brand new PlayStation showcase we have been waiting for. I mean, they've done it the past couple of years, so it's pretty safe to assume that they are going to do a showcase at the end of this year. And when you compare the state of plays we've gotten this year to the ones we got last year and take into account that Sony likes to make these showcases the big deal, I think we have some cool stuff to look forward to here with what Sony's going to announce. Maybe we'll finally get a look at Spider-Man 2. I'm personally crossing my fingers for Ghost of Tsushima being announced for PC, maybe finally announcing Returnal, maybe porting Demon's Souls. I mean, there's so many options there, but there are a ton of other games they can talk about on the PS5 side as well. And one of those games that people are really excited for is Bloodborne. Now, this has been a myth for a really long time that Bloodborne is going to get some sort of patch on PS5, and I think the reason for that is it really needs one. The PS4 version of Bloodborne has really bad frame pacing. It doesn't even run at 30 frames per second locked, which is crazy. Even when you're putting it in your PS5, it doesn't run at 30 FPS locked. So people have been really wanting at least some sort of update on this game. Or the best option, which is of course a sequel or even a remake from Bluepoint. I mean, they absolutely killed it on Demon's Souls. I can see why people would want that. Hope pretty much seemed like it was all lost though, because after rumors on rumors on rumors, we have never gotten any sort of announcement related to Bloodborne. But the interesting thing is, on August 31st, Bloodborne has scheduled maintenance for the first time in a really long time. So people are connecting the dots once again. They're crossing their fingers and hoping that whenever this PS5 showcase does materialize, if and when, I guess, they do show off some sort of announcement for Bloodborne. And I think this could actually happen this time. I've been a little iffy in the past. I've said take it with a grain of salt, and I would still say take this with a huge grain of salt. But the timing on this seems a little too weird to not materialize into anything. I love Bloodborne. It's my favorite Souls game. I love the gothic Victorian horror vibe, and if they are going to release a patch for it, Halloween time, which is just beginning with September, really seems like the best time to do it. So yeah, there's some good evidence here. My fingers are crossed. All right, I'm sure you guys have noticed at this point that The Last of Us Part 1 review copies are out there. They all did their thing already where they tweeted out that they have their copy of The Last of Us Part 1 to make it seem all prestigious, but it's like, dude, you've got a remake of a remake, Sony. Let's calm down with the hype on this one. I get it. I'm excited about The Last of Us Part 1. I'm one of the few, but I understand why people are upset about it, considering it's a remake of a remake that's being priced at a full $70 and does not include the multiplayer that the last remake included, which still runs at 4K 60 frames per second, I might add. But regardless, that's coming in September. I'm definitely gonna buy it. I love The Last of Us. It's one of my favorite games of all time, and it's one of my favorite Halloween season games. But after that is the game I think people are really looking forward to, which is God of War Ragnarok. And the hype on this game is definitely real because a team of fans named Anderson and Deborah have come up with some really cool looking side plates for the PS5 that go beyond pretty much anything Sony is doing. I mean, all we really get from them is like colored side plates that still look pretty good, but when you look at this is really cool. It's got like mountains on the side instead of the bottom stand. It has a stone look to it with etched cracks into the actual stones. You've got 2 wolves obviously representing Kratos and Atreus. You've got the Kratos logo, that Greek O, I forget what it's called, the Omega symbol, I think, and also chains all over this console. It just made me think, why haven't we seen any sort of custom plates from Sony? It's kind of nuts that they don't give us any options outside of these color ones that they've released a few months ago. Like, they could do a really cool Last of Us Part 1 edition with Ellie's tattoo that she ends up getting in 2. Or they could do a really cool set of God of War plates, like with Kratos' logo, and then something to represent Atreus, maybe his bow. I mean, the sky's the limit there. The only thing I can think of is that they're just waiting for the PS5 Slim to come out, because that's what they did with the PS4. The launch edition had a couple special editions, like when Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes came out, there was a black, gold, and like maroon red edition that looked really cool, but we didn't really see a ton of special editions until the PS4 Slim and PS4 Pro were out. Then the floodgates truly opened. My favorite, personally, besides The Last of Us Part 2 one we got at the end of the life cycle, was that blue, clear 500 million PS4. I like how Sony, when they would do these special edition consoles, sometimes they would allow you to just buy the controller. They did that all the way up until the end with The Last of Us Part 2, but but I ended up grabbing that 500 million controller because it was clear and blue. Another standout to me was the 20th anniversary PS1 edition that made the PS4 look like a PS1. I went out and got that PS1 style PS4 controller, and I still have it to this day. I don't really use it because I like the DualSense so much more, but it's something I've held on to because it's so cool. So hopefully we don't have that much longer to wait on special edition consoles, because this one from God of War Ragnarok looks really cool. So last week we talked about this whole price increase situation that's happening around the world with the PS5 in pretty much every region except America. And now Sony is making that bad look even worse, because not only are they charging more for the PS5 in Australia, they're releasing a model that is definitely cheaper for them to make. They just secretly released a new model that's definitely cheaper for them to make. So the first PS5 that they launched was 4.5 kilograms. It had a weight in its manual, I guess, and this new one is only 3.9 kilograms, which is a pretty big difference in weight, which, you know, the reason they would want to make this thing weigh less is because you get charged by weight, I guess, when you're putting it on a ship and taking it from the factory to a different country. If you have less weight of the actual console, you can get more consoles on the actual ship for around a cheaper price, I guess, and that's the goal here. This is like the second or third time Sony has done this. My friend Austin Evans and I figured out they did it, I think, last summer or maybe the summer before at this point. I forget. Time has been crazy lately, but we were able to get our hands on one of these new PS5s that has a brand new heatsink in it, and if I remember correctly, they reduced the size by around 13%, and we found that the PS5 was running hotter, but it didn't really make too much of a difference in actual gameplay. So if Sony is using new parts in the console, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to run worse. I mean, even Valve with the Steam Deck, they're using a slower SSD in the 256 gigabyte model now than the one that they used at launch, because even though it's slower, it's still running just as well as the old one, because I guess SteamOS and the Steam Deck weren't taking advantage of the full speed of the old SSD they were using. And I would guess that the reason for that is because this new SSD is more available and cheaper for them to use. Either way, after raising the price of the console in Australia, I think it's a bad look to pinch pennies and save money on the console itself when you're already passing on the price of making the console to the consumer. I really don't understand why Sony is going this hard on the PS5. They sell so many games on the PlayStation Store. They make 30% of every third-party sale. They make 100% of every first-party sale, and everyone loves their first-party games. It just comes off as weirdly petty to raise the price of the PS5 this early in the generation, especially when it seems like we're getting the PS5 Slim and Pro sooner rather than later, because again, I don't think this price is ever going to come down. I think this is the new MSRP, and if anything, it could go up again, which is crazy because people are looking for reasons to not go out and spend money, and buying a game where you can get a few weeks of entertainment out of it is a lot better of a value proposition than going to a bar and dropping like $100 in one night, which is really easy here in LA. So I see why people want to play video games now, and it just got even more expensive. It's like cutting people down at the knees when they're just trying to have fun with the game console that they've been trying to get, and now they have an extra hurdle to jump over because it's more expensive. But whether you have a launch PS5, this new PS5, or the first revision of the PS5, you know it's crazy how many PS5s have been released, considering the fact that Sony has only officially announced one PS5, but I'm digressing here a little bit. We're all about to get an upgrade on our PS5s. That's the whole point of this next news story. Because if you remember, Sony actually made a huge investment a little while ago into Discord, which was crazy because before that we had heard that Microsoft was trying to buy Discord, and Discord came back and said, nope, we will not take your money, we will not be bought by you. And then Sony invested a ton of money into them, but still the weirder thing that happened is that Discord is already coming to the Xbox sooner than it's coming to the PS5. Now the caveat there is you've got to be like an alpha tier insider or whatever those Xbox guys call it, and basically what that means is you have to be invited to the beta that people are using on their Xbox that allows Discord. But on the Sony side, it looks like we could be getting official Discord support for everyone sooner rather than later, like really soon. Basically, a leaker who was trustworthy in the past has said that this feature is almost ready to go, which is awesome, and we could be seeing it on both the PS4 and PS5 by the end of the year. And me, personally, it could not come soon enough. I really want Discord on my PS5 because my main game, as you guys know, is Destiny 2, and on my PC, I love using Discord when I do an LFG raid, right? Like I jump into Discord, super easy, I just type the link in and I'm good to go. But when someone's on PlayStation or Xbox, we have to use the in-game chat, which is not great. It's hard to hear. You have to turn your game volume down all the way. So it'll make it so much easier to just jump into a Discord chat when I have it as an actual app on my PS5, because the PS5 also has been really good about giving great volume control systems and stuff like that. So I can make sure Discord's louder or quieter based on what game I'm playing. That's just one real life example where I think it's going to come in really handy. And also the fact that Sony invested so much money into Discord and it came to Xbox first, I think that was a weird thing for Discord to do for sure, but I'm glad that we're getting this update sooner rather than later, because you know, when the Xbox thing happened and they got it, Sony didn't really say anything. They didn't even hint that they were working on it at all. So that just basically meant to me that they were like far out on when it was actually going to come to the PS5. But if this leak is to be believed and we are getting it by the end of 2022, I'm happy with that and I can't wait to use it. I've been jumping in King's Fall and Destiny. It's great to have that raid back, and it will be so much easier to clear that every week if I can also use Discord on my PS5. And the last news story I have for you guys today is that Sony has bought another game studio. This time it's a studio called Savage Game Studios, and if you haven't heard of them, it's probably because you're not a mobile gamer. Yes, this is a studio they're buying to make a live service mobile game under the PlayStation banner. We heard months ago that they were kind of looking into taking PlayStation into the world of mobile, and at the time I was like, why? Just focus on making your games on PS5 and then put them on PC as well so that you can sell them on Steam, get 70% of that revenue, and then you have the handheld version of your games right there. But it seems like Sony is going full steam ahead on getting these mobile games made, but it's interesting to me that they called this a live service game, because I would assume that this is one of the games that Jim Ryan was talking about when they said that they have 10 live service games in development right now that we'll see before 2025. This has got to be one of them, and that kind of makes more sense to me, because differentiating where these games go, like having some on PS5, some on mobile, maybe some on PC, that makes that number of 10 seem a lot less scary, because as someone who likes live service games and likes looter shooters, all of them have pretty much fallen off except for Destiny 2. The Division 2 still gets updates. It's probably my second favorite one of these games, but still, the amount of content we get in Destiny 2 versus the Division 2, it's not even really a competition. I mean, a ton of the biggest live service games like Fortnite, Apex Legends, Dead by Daylight, they're all available on phones, so it makes sense that Sony would want to get some sort of mobile game in development. I mean, Diablo Immortal, I don't really want to talk about that game because it sucks so bad. That's another huge franchise that's been ported to mobile. So it's nice to see these AAA quality games, like from a graphics and gameplay perspective, on phones. I just hope that Sony's console mentality of not nickel and diming people for microtransactions and skins and battle passes extends to whatever mobile game they're making. Like if they have a game you can buy for 10 or 20 bucks, I would much rather have that than a classic mobile game where it's free to play, but you have to like sink a ton of time into it unless you spend a bunch of money. I mean, if you guys tried Diablo Immortal, I basically don't want anything like Diablo Immortal from Sony. So far, I think they've earned the benefit of the doubt, but when I see them doing stuff like raising the price of the PS5, they're acting a little suspect over there. So yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I think it's cool that they're buying new studios. They're taking more studios away that Microsoft might be looking at. I'm just not personally super invested in the idea of a mobile game, but hey, we'll see how it turns out. Maybe it'll be like a Last of Us multiplayer game, and then I'll be really into it.